Welcome to Colossal Works, the biggest things humanity has ever tried to build. In August 2025, a church weighing 670 tons drove down a road in northern Sweden. Not the pieces of a church. The whole building, 113 years old, lifted onto trailers and driven, intact, at a walking pace, to a new address. It is part of something much bigger. An entire town is being physically relocated because the ground it stands on is being taken away. The town is Kiruna, inside the Arctic Circle. And the reason it is moving is the same reason it exists at all. This is the story of a place that has to choose between its ground and its livelihood and decided it could keep both. Kiruna sits about 200 kilometers north of the Arctic Circle, in Swedish Lapland. In winter, the sun does not rise for weeks. And underneath it lies one of the richest iron ore deposits ever found, a body of magnetite so pure and so vast that it built the town on top of it. The town was founded around 1900 for exactly one purpose, to house the people who would dig that ore out. The mining company, LKAB, is owned by the Swedish state. The ore it produces has fed European steel for more than a century, and today Kiruna is the largest underground iron ore mine on Earth. And it is genuinely enormous. The working levels now sit more than a kilometer beneath the surface. Underground, there are roads. Real ones, wide enough for heavy trucks, winding down through the rock in a spiral. There are workshops, offices, canteens, and a network of tunnels that runs for hundreds of kilometers. It is less a mine than a buried industrial city, operating in the dark below a real one. The ore itself is what makes this story inevitable. The deposit does not sit in a neat horizontal layer beneath the town. It runs downward at a steep angle, roughly 60 degrees, sloping in under the town center as it goes deeper. Which means that for as long as the mine keeps following the ore down, it keeps following it towards the streets above. For most of the 20th century, that was a problem for the future. Then the future arrived. As the mine went deeper, engineers began mapping what is called the deformation zone, the area of ground above the workings that slowly cracks, sags, and subsides as the rock beneath it is removed. That zone was expanding, year by year, in the direction of the town. Not fast. This is not a sinkhole opening under a school. It is measured, monitored, and predicted decades in advance. But the trajectory was not in dispute. Given enough time, the ground under Kiruna's center would no longer be safe to build on, live on, or drive across, which produced a decision most countries never have to make. You can close the mine and save the town, or you can keep the mine and move the town. In 2004, Sweden began planning the second option. And the problems came on three fronts. The first is physical, and it is the one people underestimate. A town is not a collection of buildings. It is water pipes, sewage, district heating, power lines, a railway, roads, a hospital, schools, shops, and the invisible web that connects all of it. Moving a town 3 kilometers east means building a second, complete, working town, while the first one is still occupied and still has to function every single day. Very few buildings can actually be relocated. Most of Kiruna's old center is being demolished and rebuilt from scratch, which is why the buildings that do move are chosen so carefully. The church is one. A handful of historic wooden houses are others. Everything else comes down. The town's old city hall was demolished. Its distinctive clock tower was saved and re-erected beside the new one. The second front is money, and here the arrangement is unusual. Because the mine causes the damage, the mining company pays for the move. LKAB has funded the relocation of homes and public buildings, and has committed further money, including 1.8 billion Swedish kronor announced to secure the continued transformation, to keep the municipality's finances from buckling under a project of this length. It is a rare case of the polluter pays principle applied at the scale of an entire city. The third front is the one that does not appear in an engineering report. People. Around 6,000 more residents and roughly 2,700 homes are expected to be affected as the mine expands further. Residents are compensated and rehoused, but compensation is a number, and a house you grew up in is not. There has been real friction in Kiruna over valuations, over what gets saved and what gets bulldozed, and over how much say ordinary residents actually have in the timetable. And there is a dimension that reaches back much further than the mine. This is Sapmi, the traditional land of the Sami people, and reindeer herding routes run through the region. Mining infrastructure, new roads and railways cut across those routes. Herding communities have argued for years that industrial expansion in the north fragments the land they depend on, and that their consent has too often been an afterthought. The Swedish state and LKAB point to consultation processes and compensation agreements. Both of those things can be true at once, that the relocation is being handled carefully by industrial standards, and that the people who use this land first are still absorbing the cost of decisions made elsewhere. So what does Kiruna actually look like now? A new town center exists. It has a new city hall, opened in 2018, a new square, new apartment blocks, hotels, and shops, built from scratch, 3 kilometers east of where the old center stood. And in August 2025 came the moment that put all of it on television screens around the world. Kiruna Church, a wooden building from 1912, repeatedly voted one of Sweden's most beautiful, was jacked up, placed on self-propelled trailers, and driven along a specially widened road at roughly half a kilometer an hour. The journey took 2 days. Thousands of people came to watch a church go past their windows. The relocation is not finished. It is not close to finished. The current target is 2035, which will make it a project spanning more than 3 decades, and the mine's own plans suggest the boundary will keep moving after that. Kiruna is not a town that moved once. It is a town that has agreed, permanently, to move. And that is what makes it worth thinking about. Most places, when the resource underneath them becomes more valuable than the place itself, simply lose. The town empties out, the mine closes, and both die. Kiruna refused that trade. It decided the town was portable and the ore was not. It is an extraordinary piece of engineering, an extraordinary amount of money, and an extraordinary demand to make of the people who live there. So the question Kiruna leaves behind is this. When the ground under your home turns out to be worth more than your home, who decides what happens next? If this blew your mind, hit that like button and subscribe for more megastructures. And tell me in the comments which one I should cover next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.